Hello everybody, and sorry about the strange noises in the background. The pug is currently eating, and so I thought I'd do a quick update. I know you really can't see me, but let's get to the short of this. As the Amazons say, Arte Nation Live. So let's cover the basics. The book has currently proceeded to the point where the manuscript is completely finished, and it is currently being edited and read through by my alpha readers, so that's awesome. I have been talking to a few people about the inspiration for the book, and they've been very interested, so that shows that perhaps we'll be able to definitely raise some money. I still have to budget the Kickstarter campaign, which is going good. I've also contacted, and I'm speaking to a admissions officer over at Simon Fraser University for my future publishing degree. Zin and I are thinking about doing some stuff. I still have to get back to her. And that is all excellent. So quickly, I want to talk about the inspiration for the book. And I'm going to say this that first and foremost, part of this was I've been watching several movies by Mr. Sarkeesian, who does several feminist videos. And I want to say this is that I consider myself a feminist. I consider myself an egalitarian. And I want to say that I agree with some of her points. At the same time, I do believe Mr. Sarkeesian has a sense of, to put it bluntly, I believe she has a sense of how to, her scope. I feel that when you understand something, it's very good to discuss and to encourage. My books in general, and I apologize if this is a guy saying, trying to speak for women and not trying to mansplain and everything, but I feel that Mr. Sarkeesian in some contexts, and I agree with Mr. Repzion in this fact, I feel that she tries to make her point through the usage of, I want to say, I feel that her point would be made stronger if she did more research into the actual material she's dealing with. I'm not specifically dealing with tropes. I'm dealing specifically if you're going to make a comment about a video game. So, for example, she could have easily, and I'm going to say this, the one thing that Mr. Epstein has brought up, why didn't she go and attack Samus Aran for the first few storylines, then point out the obvious blatant sexism of Other M? Why didn't she observe Mario and then maybe make a comparison with the points where Peach is the main character? See, the thing about this is, I understand tropes against women is a very important point, but there are plenty of ways to make incredibly, educated arguments, which really would make people think without necessarily having to pile a bunch of clips together and deciding to make I wouldn't say Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck, but I would say, this is not Soledad O'Brien here, This is someone who, this is a level of research that does seem to be done. And I'll say this as someone who actually spent 6+ months researching Amazons in mythology, researching the societies they come from, and has spent several days just researching who the heck the Diadochi are. If you don't know who the Diadochi are, they're villains in the book. The thing about this is if you're going to make a educated anything, guys, you need to take time to do the research. And I feel a lot of people on YouTube, you guys like to say what you want to make a point. And I'm saying this, Mr. Repzion, when you point to a burqa, the thing is you need to understand is the burqa is an extreme example of Islam. Not all Islamic women wear the burqa. In fact, several of them wear their headscarves with pride. In fact, in the book, in the hadiths and the Quran, it says men and women must be modest, and there are men who will dress in not full veils, but they will cut their hair and cover them with prayer hats, and they will wear, kaftans. And it's actually fairly equal to some degree. Could be a bit more so, but let's understand. Let's not make an automatic judgment of a group of people based upon surface information, and I feel that in both cases people need to not do this. Now, I will say that Mr. Repzion has done a very good job at making educated arguments, and so has Mr. Sarkeesian. At the same time, let's do a little more research, Mr. Sarkeesian, and Mr. Repzion, let's try to not make blatant statements about groups of people based upon simple, and I'll say this, when I say mainstream media, I mean don't just pull something from Fox or from NBC and assume they do everything, because a lot of the time they don't always do research. They're looking for the story. In general, actually even Huffington Post has a problem with this. So, let's move forward. When I designed the Amazons, the inspiration came from Wonder Woman, Xena Warrior Princess, but also my interest in the concept of a warrior band of women. So one of the first things I did is I decided, well, There can be a group of women, they actually need to have men to reproduce. Now, there's a lot of stories of the women just laying with everything. I thought that was a very interesting concept. So in the book series, the Amazons actually did this as a means of building up their tribe, but it did not mean that they hoard themselves out. And I'm saying this because there's an easy means in the Homeric description to say they hoard themselves out, because in the storyline of Homer, they're often described as basically sleeping with anyone they wanted to. Like it was not a big deal. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's whoring out, and I want to be correctly here, but it's very easy for people to put down Amazonian writings using that Homeric Athenian description. The thing I want to remind you is that the Athenians, although they did purport democracy, were incredibly sexist. They would restrict women to a specific part of their house, and only men of a specific class could vote in Athens. Whereas in Sparta, even though you had to be from another, again, a specific social class, the women of that social class could actually fight. They could actually have rights. So, that's the thing you have to understand. I actually did my research here. That's a good example of having to do your research. So, before people get mad at me, when I say whoring out, I'm referring specifically to how you can easily perceive an automatic negative from Homer's writings and other early mythological writings of the Amazonian people, and they're often portrayed in a negative light because the Greeks want to make themselves look good. Okay? They're often described as being very tall, warrior-esque, and they are called the killers of men because they are bad and they killed men. And this is a very Athenian concept. The Athenians are trying to justify themselves. They literally worship a goddess who at one point turned a rape victim into a monster. If you don't know that much, that is actually one of the interpretations of the Gorgons. So, let's move forward. That's actually one reason Amazons don't like Athena. So, my main inspiration for this book comes from not only early writings, but also discoveries of the ice princesses and other warrior-esque people across the Scythian area. I'll go into this more in further blogs, but I wanted to bring this up because I've spent months upon months researching and constructing this concept. So, point taken. When we go and we make statements about something, people, and I'm just saying this as a writer, let's do a bit more research so we can make guesses and also construct ideas. Thank you for listening and have a good time. Peace out. Fechan Shash.